Strip searches, prison marriages, secret fight clubs. What really goes on inside women's prisons? You won't believe the truth. Strip searches in women's prisons are standard procedure. They're done to stop hidden items from entering. But the process is often described as cold, invasive, and humiliating. It starts with removing every piece of clothing. Then comes the sequence of commands. Open your mouth, lift your tongue, run your hands through your hair, raise your arms, bend your knees, squat, and cough. It's robotic and clinical, but the effect is anything but. In some facilities, this process happens in groups, standing shoulder to shoulder. There's no curtain, no privacy, just a line of silent women trying to hide their fear and shame while pretending not to look at each other. Some correctional officers try to be professional, others not so much. And this isn't a one-time thing. Strip searches happen again after court appearances, visits, or even random cell checks. Even though technology like body scanners exists in many men's prisons, they're still slow to be rolled out consistently in women's facilities. That leaves thousands of women stuck with the old methods. It's not just the physical part that gets to them, it's the loss of dignity. For women who have experienced control, manipulation, or trauma in the past, this moment can resurface old wounds. But in prison, vulnerability is dangerous, so most just stay quiet and get through it. And yet, this is the entry point, the first real moment when many women realize that prison life isn't just about bars and jumpsuits, it's about power, control, and the quiet rituals that start to rewrite how you see yourself. Strip searches might last just minutes, but they leave marks that stay long after the release date. Once the strip search is over and a woman is moved into general population, the next big test comes fast: the showers. It might sound simple, but the shower block is a high-stakes social minefield. Everything here operates on unspoken rules, and one wrong move can mark you. You don't just walk in and take a spot. Women learn fast. Certain showers belong to certain inmates. Times are claimed, privacy is a privilege, and there are eyes everywhere. In some prisons, inmates post lookouts just to make sure they're not interrupted. In others, people deliberately wait for a certain bunkmate to go in first, creating informal schedules without ever speaking a word. Don't stare, don't take too long, don't leave your soap behind. These might seem like little things, but in a place where personal space is almost non-existent, they matter. Many women use the time to decompress. Ironically, it's one of the few spots where they're not being barked at by staff. But it's also one of the most vulnerable. Showers are where deals are whispered, friendships are tested, and rivalries can explode. Sometimes it's just about who gets the last drop of hot water. Other times, tensions from the yard spill over. Correctional officers know this too. That's why some facilities limit shower time to under 10 minutes per person, while others run the water on timers that shut off automatically. In a place where personal freedom is stripped down to the basics, everyday objects take on new meaning. That bar of soap? It's more than just a hygiene item. It might be a bargaining chip, a favor owed, or the price of safety. Welcome to the underground economy of women's prisons, where shampoo, candy, and deodorant carry more weight than cash ever could. Each inmate is allowed to buy from the commissary, a small prison store where snacks, hygiene products, and a few luxuries are sold. But not everyone has money on their account. Family support is uneven. Some have outside help. Others have to hustle inside to afford even the bare minimum. Here's how it works. Ramen noodles become currency. Tampons, pads, toothpaste, all tradable. One woman might loan a bottle of lotion in exchange for clean laundry. Another might trade candy for help writing a letter. There's no price list. The value shifts depending on scarcity, need, and who controls what. Because commissary items are limited, people get creative. Some mix instant coffee with cocoa powder to make bootleg desserts. Others melt down candy to mold homemade makeup. In some prisons, makeup isn't allowed at all, so women use colored pencils or melted crayons to fake eyeliner. But it's not just about comfort, it's about power. Controlling commissary access can mean influence. Those who have more can afford to share, lend, or withhold, and that creates invisible lines of loyalty. A woman with a full locker is more than just lucky, she's a player. Shower politics blend right into this world. Offer someone shampoo today and maybe they'll back you up tomorrow. In women's prisons, survival isn't just physical, it's strategic. The smallest items become tools to navigate a system where everything has a hidden cost. Where there's a system, there's a structure. And inside women's prisons, it doesn't take long to notice who's at the top. Power doesn't always come with fists. Sometimes, it comes with followers. Female prison gangs and alliances form fast, and they often control more than the guards think. These groups can be built around geography, like all the women from a certain city or neighborhood sticking together. Sometimes, race draws the lines. Other times, it's simply about safety. Aligning with the right group can mean protection from bullying, better access to resources, or simply a buffer against isolation. But these aren't the violent, tattooed gangs from action movies. Leadership is subtle. The real power players are often low-key, women who control favors, organize support, or settle disputes. They're the ones who know how to get what others can't. Still, there are tough sides to it. Some alliances enforce loyalty. If you're in, you're expected to stand up when needed. That might mean backing someone during a fight or silently pressuring a newcomer to fall in line. If you step out of line, you're cut off, or worse. Some prisons even have informal shot callers, women who issue orders without raising their voices. And beneath them, smaller circles that function like departments in a business runners, go-betweens, peacekeepers. It's all unspoken, but everyone knows who's who. These alliances aren't just about fear. Many are built on trust, shared stories, or a sense of family. For some women, it's the first time they've felt that kind of loyalty. For others, it's just how the game is played. Either way, staying solo isn't always a safe option. One of the most common dynamics is the so-called prison marriage. Inside, women take on roles: wife, partner, protector. Some pairings are deeply bonded, with women who stick together through transfers, lockdowns, and release. Others start fast and burn out quicker than a bunkroom argument, but in both cases they come with rules: loyalty, shared food, shared protection. Arguments, they're loud, breakups, everybody hears about them. It's not always romantic. Some relationships are built on control. A stronger inmate offers safety or commissary goods in exchange for loyalty, obedience, or attention. These setups often blur the lines between affection and pressure, and while not always violent, the imbalance is clear. Many women simply call it survival. But there's another layer too. Marriages with men on the outside. Some women maintain relationships with boyfriends or husbands, exchanging letters and visiting when allowed. Others start fresh romances through pen pal programs. Believe it or not, it's not uncommon for women to get legally married while incarcerated. They might meet someone through a friend, a church group, or even social media. The paperwork is processed from inside, sometimes over video calls, sometimes during limited visits. These marriages to outsiders can offer emotional support, legal help, or financial aid. But they also come with baggage: jealousy, mistrust, long silences, and sometimes the men aren't as real as they seem. Some promise money or freedom, then vanish. Others are drawn to the idea of saving someone behind bars, only to realize they can't handle the reality of prison life. Tattoos in women's prisons are more than decoration, they're messages. A name inked on a wrist might mean loyalty, a small teardrop, a reminder of a lost friend or a personal battle. Inside, skin becomes a canvas of identity, survival, and sometimes pain. And these aren't done in shops. Tattoo machines are homemade, often built from motors pulled out of fans or electric razors, rigged with guitar strings or staples. Ink is made from soot, toothpaste, pen ink, or burned paper. It's a risky process. Infection is common. But the desire to mark something permanent in a world where everything else is temporary is strong. Designs vary. Some are traditional: hearts, crosses, initials. Others are deeply coded. A spider web on the elbow might hint at time served. A crown on the neck might signal leadership. Many women ink dates, children's names, or memorials to people they lost while inside. Then there's the romantic side. Matching tattoos between prison wives are common, often initials, hearts, or even portraits. For some, it's a symbol of loyalty. For others, it's a warning not to mess with someone who's taken. Getting a tattoo inside is often a quiet event. It's done in corners of the yard, behind bunk curtains, or during night shifts when guards are less attentive. The tattooist usually gains respect, and maybe a few commissary favors. Some women become known for their artistic skills and are booked weeks in advance. While some prisons crack down hard on tattooing, it never really stops. Because for many women, those lines and symbols are more than just ink. They're proof they were there, they survived, and they made their mark, literally. Despite all the checks, searches, and locked doors, things still find their way inside. And not just small things. In women's prisons, a surprising amount of personal items, and even tech, moves from hand to hand behind the scenes. It's not magic, it's a system. And it runs deeper than most would guess. Contraband is anything not officially allowed. That might be extra food from the kitchen, makeup not sold in commissary, or a simple object that could be turned into something else. Items arrive hidden in body cavities, tucked inside books, or delivered through laundry runs and food trays. Sometimes even mail can be tampered with to hide tiny items between envelope layers. The more creative the method, the higher the value. Toothbrushes shaved down into art tools, mirrors made from polished metal scraps, mini tweezers crafted from paper clips. Even clean underwear can become a trade item if the supply runs thin. Some women become known for their connects, friends in laundry, kitchen, or janitorial duties, who can pass things along with little risk. There are also outside helpers, friends, family, and in rare cases, even staff. Items left at visitation centers or passed during brief handshakes have been reported in multiple facilities. In low-security environments, windows of opportunity are wider than people think. Still, it's not just about getting something for yourself. Having access to forbidden items builds status. The woman with a stash of nail polish remover or a working hair straightener becomes someone others rely on. She earns favors, trades for protection, and gains quiet power. And all of it happens in shadows, one silent deal at a time. Most correctional officers follow the rules. But like any system with imbalances, some abuse their position, and in women's prisons, the line between authority and overreach can get dangerously blurry. There are real documented cases where male guards crossed boundaries with female inmates, using their control over privileges, jobs, or movement in exchange for attention. The pressure is subtle at first. A compliment, a favor, a promise. But the imbalance makes consent complicated. When an officer controls your ability to make a phone call or access the yard, saying no isn't always an option. Some officers use the system itself to maintain control, denying someone their commissary order, assigning late-night cleaning shifts, moving women to less desirable cells without explanation. It's all legal on paper, but inside, everyone knows what it really means. Several states have launched investigations into specific women's prisons in recent years, exposing cases where guards manipulated vulnerable inmates or failed to report misconduct among their peers. In one case, hidden cameras helped reveal patterns of intimidation in a unit where women felt unsafe reporting abuse. The challenge is that most women don't speak up. Retaliation is real. So are consequences. A complaint might get buried, or worse, the woman might get transferred to a stricter facility. That's why many rely on unofficial ways of getting the word out, like coded messages to family or whisper networks among inmates. Solitary confinement sounds simple. Just a room, a bed, and a door that stays shut. But for women especially, it's far more complicated. It's not just silence and isolation, it's emotional pressure, time distortion, and mental wear-down that creeps in fast. The cells are small, often around 6 by 9 feet, the size of a walk-in closet. No personal items, no conversation, just a bed, a toilet, and a slit for meal trays. Lights stay on most of the time. Some women report losing track of day and night after just a few days. Women end up in solitary for different reasons. Rule violations, fights, or alleged threats to others. But sometimes, it's for protection. A woman might be placed there because she's being harassed or because there's no other safe place for her. That twist, punishment as a form of safety, happens more often than it should. Mental health struggles spike in isolation. Many women in solitary already deal with trauma, anxiety, or depression. Locking them in silence amplifies every part of it. Some talk to themselves just to hear a voice. Others pace non-stop. Time stretches. A week can feel like a month. The regulations around solitary vary by state. Some limit its use for pregnant women or those with mental health conditions. Others allow it for longer periods with minimal oversight. And while federal discussions about reducing solitary use have made headlines, change is slow at the local level. Many former inmates describe it as the hardest part of prison, not because of violence, but because of the stillness, no noise, no touch, no human reaction, just hours stacked on hours and a mind left alone with itself. Some truths don't come out until someone risks everything to uncover them. That's what happened in several cases where investigators went undercover inside women's prisons, not as guards, but as inmates. One of the most famous operations was run by a journalist posing as a new arrival. Her goal? Document daily life from the inside. She lasted weeks before anyone noticed something was off. During her stay, she kept mental notes of every search, every officer comment, every unspoken rule that no outsider ever sees. Other undercover operations have been more official. Internal affairs departments have planted female officers to confirm rumors of inappropriate behavior, contraband exchanges, or unauthorized punishments. Some wore body mics, others carried fake identities. Their findings led to major shakeups. Guards fired, wardens replaced, whole facilities placed under review. One investigation in the South revealed a silent deal culture, where officers and inmates operated under mutual understandings. Ignore this, let that slide, turn around at the right moment. It wasn't always about cruelty, sometimes it was just survival, but it blurred the line between structure and chaos. These undercover missions come with risk. If discovered, the safety of the investigator is compromised. But the results have exposed things that regular inspections miss. Things like mental health neglect, unequal treatment, and the use of isolation as informal punishment. The truth is, women's prisons often operate behind a thick wall of silence. Public tours and press visits show clean halls and organized programs. But only when someone walks those halls with different eyes that don't belong there, do the real stories finally surface. For women who enter prison pregnant, the experience is nothing short of surreal. The schedule doesn't change, the chores don't stop, and the noise never fades, even when you're carrying a life inside you. There's no nursery music, no morning sickness sympathy, and certainly no private OB/GYN visits. Prenatal care varies wildly between facilities. In some prisons, medical checkups are scheduled regularly and carried out by outside providers. In others, women report waiting days just to get a vitamin or have a question answered. Transport to outside hospitals is typically done in full restraints, with shackles around the ankles and wrists. A growing number of states now ban shackling during labor, but the policies aren't always followed. Some women still arrive in the delivery room chained up, support networks are slim, baby books aren't allowed, birthing classes are rare. Inmates often rely on word-of-mouth advice from older prisoners who've been through it. Labor usually means a rushed ride in a prison van, surrounded by guards with just one support person allowed, often a stranger in uniform. In a few rare cases, motherhood doesn't stop at birth behind bars. Some women, carefully selected by behavior and sentence length, are allowed to raise their infants inside special prison nursery programs. It's not widespread, but it does happen. These programs are housed in separate units, often quieter and more structured than general population. Cribs, playpens, and changing tables replace bunks and steel lockers. But make no mistake, it's still prison. Guards stand watch, strict schedules are enforced, and any misstep can mean immediate separation. Mothers in these units attend parenting classes, early childhood education sessions, and therapy. Some facilities even allow daily playtime outdoors, though fenced and closely monitored. The goal is to strengthen bonds and reduce the trauma of forced separation, and studies have shown it helps. Women in nursery programs tend to have lower rates of reoffending, and their children show fewer developmental delays. Still, it's not picture perfect. Resources are limited, toys are donated, formula and diapers are tightly rationed. Some mothers admit it's harder to raise a child there because the pressure is constant. Every cry is judged, every decision is supervised, and every other woman in the unit is watching. The selection process is rigorous. Violent offenders, long-term inmates, or those with uncertain custody statuses are usually excluded. That leaves a small percentage of women even eligible for this kind of opportunity. But for those who qualify, the chance to wake up next to their child, even in a locked facility, is powerful. It gives structure, it gives purpose, and in a place built on routines and restrictions, it gives a piece of normal life, no matter how fragile. Behind the concrete walls and steel doors of women's prisons, faith takes many forms. For some, it's traditional, Christian services, Quran study, or Bible readings. For others, it's less conventional, crystals, altars, protective chants, and all of it coexists in surprising harmony. Religious programs are often among the few structured activities offered in prison. Chaplains run weekly services, volunteers bring in Bibles, prayer beads, and study guides. Some women attend just to get out of their cell. Others go because faith is the only thing they feel they still control. But spirituality goes far beyond sermons. Some inmates turn to ancestral beliefs, tarot cards, or astrology. Makeshift shrines pop up in personal lockers decorated with paper flowers, drawn symbols, or meaningful scraps. Others create rituals, not out of rebellion but out of a need for order. Lighting a candle when allowed, whispering a mantra, or scribbling prayers into hidden notebooks becomes part of daily survival. There's also a layer of unwritten belief. the idea that spiritual energy flows through the unit. Some women say certain corners feel heavy, or that dreams carry warnings. Others believe in spiritual attacks from jealous inmates, and use chants or hand gestures to protect themselves. Whether rooted in organized religion or personal ritual, spirituality gives many incarcerated women something they don't often get: control over the unseen. It helps them make sense of their time, their choices, and their place in a system that rarely offers comfort. It's not listed on any schedule. There are no sign-up sheets, no official rules, but in some women's prisons, fights happen on cue. Not random scuffles, but arranged showdowns. Quietly organized, quietly watched. Inmates call it the program, the ring, or just handling business. Fights might settle personal beefs or prove toughness. Sometimes bets are placed. Commissary items, chores, or future favors. Others join just to show they're not soft. Word spreads fast when a match is coming. One bunkmate keeps watch. The others pretend to nap. There's no ref, just a nod. And when it's over, the crowd disperses like nothing happened. Guards often know but rarely intervene unless blood is drawn or noise gets out of hand. It's quick, brutal, and part of the code. For some women this is about status. For others it's self-defense disguised as sport. But underneath it all, the Fight Club isn't about violence. It's about being seen, proving something, staying in control when the world says you've lost it. That's about it. Which of this episode surprised you the most? Write in the comments. For more useful information, watch other videos.